All right, welcome to the latest episode of FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm your host, Brent Bodkin.
Quaysie Maule.
All right, so this is episode number 2. We got the ladies, we got co-ed, we got 5v5, so let's get into it. We're going to start with 5v5 intermediate here. So looking at the standings right now, pardon me. Obviously, so Flag Avengers still 8-1, pardon me, like we said last week, and Lay Benchwarmers 0-8, right? So big discrepancy between the top and the bottom of the standings. As we say every week, playoff update. Obviously, all 8 teams made the playoffs, so we'll have to figure out who's going to finish where. Any big games that stood out to you this past week?
Yeah, so week 12. Green Monster beating Football Quebec U16. I feel like that was a pretty because there's only 3 games that got played. So
Yeah.
huge win for Green Monsters for that win there. And then Flag Vengers blown out the Benchwarmers 59-18, and then Flags Don't Lie blow out Green Monsters 61-32. So a lot of high scoring game. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not that surprised Green Monster won that game between Team Quebec U16. I think both those teams are kind of even. And you kind of can see by their offense and defense this year. Points for Green Monster has 166. They have allowed 275. Team Quebec, they've scored 168 and they allowed 271. So I think these are two teams that are kind of even out regarding standings, regarding points for, regarding points against, and that's the reason why you have one at 3-6 and one at 2-6. So not that surprising, but I thought Team Quebec would probably get the win out, but the game finished by 2 points, right? So you had Green Monster win that game 26-24, and then 2 huge blowouts that are basically going to lead us into week 13 now.
So looking at week 13, so both those teams that laid 59, Flags Don't Lie, dropping 61. So quick math, both teams scored 120 points in their respective victories. They're going head to head this Saturday, right, to kick off week 13. That's going to be in Broussard at noon, right? Flag Avengers, Flags Don't Lie. Then Flags Don't Lie are going to be in action the next night. So against the Hungry Hippos and Chateauguay. Green Monster again looking to bounce back from getting beat 61-32. They're taking on Red Zone. That's going to be on Monday. And then Red Zone back in action next Wednesday. So 7 days from now, taking on Lay Benchwarmers. And Sadie Burley was the Lay Benchwarmers looking for that first dub of the season. So 4 big games coming up next week. Will Lay Benchwarmers get that first W of the season? We'll have to wait and find out. Again, they're taking on 3-4 Red Zone.
Yeah. And that game, Flag Ventures versus Flags Don't Lie, should be a really game. I believe it's the first game of the year that they play versus each other. Yes, it is. So it's going to be interesting to see who ends up winning that game. You have Flag Vengers that are 8-1, and then you have Flags Don't Lie that are 6-2. So even though if Flag Vengers lose that game, they'll finish 8-2. But then Flags Don't Lie, to be honest with you, if they win the next 2 games, they could finish 8-2 as well. And then Team Quebec, if they win, if Team Quebec wins the next 2 games, they'll finish 8-2. So we got 3 teams finishing 8-2 and have a 3-way tie. Where what's probably going to happen is that Team Quebec, because their defense is the best, that has been the best defense, they'll probably get the number 1 seed. And then it will go Flags Don't Lie, and then it will go Flag Vengers. So Flag Vengers, to be honest, was crazy. If they lose that game, they could go from the number 1 seed all the way down to number 3 seed by losing that game versus Flags Don't Lie this weekend at 12 o'clock in Broussard. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to come out for a win or they end up coming out loss.
Quickly, in a couple of words, who do you have winning that game between Flag Avengers and Flags Don't Lie?
I'm going to give it to Flag Vengers. Game that win.
Oh, okay.
I think also Tam is supposed to be playing that game as well too. I think they're trying to get him enough games played as a quarterback as well too, since Xavier is pretty much mobile to be able to do everything. So I think they're trying to add a little extra piece with their roster. But I'm going to give it to Flag Vendors on getting that W. You?
All right. Yeah, having Tam Villadev, obviously a Hall of Famer. If you can suit up, that'd be big for them. I'm gonna go though. I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna go with Flags Online. I mean, I like their defense. Right now, they're the number two rated defense in the league. They have played one less game than Flag Avengers, but it's a difference of 40 points between the 173 that Flags Online have given up compared to the 213 that Flag Avengers have given up. When I look at the roster, okay, so obviously the bigger names, I guess you say, the bigger FPF names, for the most part, are with um, Flag Avengers. But you know what? I want to say
I mean,
I
they both
think the
have
better team overall from top to bottom. Pardon?
no. So they both have like I guess
I
well-known names, but I mean they both are starting to
yeah,
have guys that are starting to get their names
yeah.
out as well.
I think there's more underrated players. So like Flats and Lies, kind of a slash a never overtime former Slag Flare Corp mixing with some other guys, right? Like Sam Anastopoulos, obviously, Mac Desua, right? Karim, Maggi, these guys, Olivier, Sabarang, these guys have all played on various versions of Never Overtime, right? So now they're on their own team with guys like Peter Birds and Sam and Von Vonsley, right? McRaw Lee, John Murray, and Alex Zalisky, right? I like this team, Yvonne Solomon. I like this team better. I think they're more of a deeper team than Flag Avengers, who I think are really top heavy. That's why I'm going with
Mm-hmm.
Flags Don't Lie.
Okay, all right. Let's go to
All
competitive
right.
5v5.
Yep.
So competitive
So
5v5.
looking,
Looking at the schedule that just happened for week 12. We had Raw Dogs knockout no regard, pretty much ending. I want to say their playoff. Oh no, yeah, ending their playoff hopes because now they cannot jump Blue Dry and have that tiebreak against them. So their playoff hopes is pretty much done. They have one game left, and that's going to be against Blue Dry.
that's Blue Dry.
Yeah, it's the last game they have. So I guess Raw Dogs kind of finished that. KGP putting a beat down on Montreal Magic 53-24. And then tonight we have KGP playing the Braves. It's in the last
Yep.
game going to week 12. And then going into week 13, again, a lot of games. Just kind of looking at the standings and who kind of has to win, who has to kind of lose. Everybody's in playoffs right now because Norgard can't make that push. They are going to finish either season 1-9 or 0-10. Hopefully, it's 1-9, so they can say they win one games. Going into
Yep.
the
Yep.
bottom right now, right? We have Montreal Magic at 2-6, so they're struggling extremely right now. Their roster is not consistent. They're missing a lot of players. I believe last week versus KHP Elite, they had Dan Lazaro playing defense, so that's something you're not used to like seeing at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So hopefully for them, they kind of manage it. Again, they're in the playoffs, so I think right now it's to a point where get your roster set up, make sure you guys are ready for playoffs because that's kind of what really matters, right? It doesn't matter if they lose the next two games; they finish 2-8. At the end of the day, whatever you play you play Raw Dogs, you play Party Crashers, you play Flag One, you're still gonna have to play any of these teams going into the finals, anyways, right? So again, they're a team that's been here for a while. Dan Lazara has been a quarterback for a while, so hopefully he's able to put his manager hat on and just get the guys that he needs and make sure they're ready for playoffs.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So I know tonight, obviously, game you have a personal tie to, Braves and KGP Elite,
Yeah,
taking place Wednesday to wrap up that week 12. Like I said, yeah, a lot of big games, coming up next week, right? It's going to be big. I know you talked about no regard. I mean, they're playoff hosts, and mathematically, they're, I guess, officially eliminated. But I mean, let's be honest, that's been the case for a couple of weeks. Yeah, but some big games coming up, especially next week, right? Like playoffs are on the line here. Playoffs aren't on the line, but seeding is, right? Of course, you want to get those more favorable matchups, so you
yeah.
have on paper at least an easier opponent come the first round of the dance.
Yeah, exactly. But
Uh,
then again, seeding is kind of messed up. This because usually you have Montreal Magic at top, and then you have Braves at top. Those are the two teams. Again,
yeah,
Braves are
yeah,
just 5-1 with 6 games left, so they have a million games left to play, so they can still finish at the top. But you have a team like Montreal Magic that are going to finish above 500. I want to say maybe they win the next one game. Maybe if the last two games they play Blue Dry 10.1. Hopefully they get their revenge there, and then they play Braves again. So let's say they go 1-1. They finish the season 3-7. They're
Will
probably going to
they?
finish
Will
on
they go 1-1 now?
16. Sorry.
Will they? How much faith do you have in them going 1-1? Talking about Montreal Magic.
I think they're gonna come back and beat Blue Dry 10.1. I don't think they're gonna lose both their games against them. I think it's to a
I
point where they
mean,
lost that game back in week
yeah, week
what's
11 they lost to Blue Dry by one.
it was week 11.
Yeah, week
Yeah, they
11.
lost
Yeah,
by
so
they,
two
yeah, they
Saturdays
lost
ago.
they lost yeah, they lost by 11. They didn't have a roster anywhere close to a roster they could have. Um, I think to be honest with you, I don't think it's hard to beat a team twice, especially a team that you're not supposed to beat. I don't think Dan's going to struggle as much on offense. I think he's probably going to put up 40 points. I do think Blue Jay is going to score, but I think Montreal Magic is going to get the win after that. But what I was trying to kind of get at is that, like, yeah, you're trying to go up in the seedings, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to matter. I personally don't know who's going to play who, other than Party Crashers is going to play Blue Dry or Nepraxin. And the same thing, I think the Braves are going to be able to jump up a few games here and probably finish as the second seed. Maybe not. You have Flagma, KGP, Raw Dog. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to finish what seeding. But I think Party Crashers probably finish number one, and they end up playing Blue Dry 10.1. I think that's the only matchup that we're going to know now compared to everybody else.
All right. Hey, listen, we'll see, man. I mean, we'll probably have an episode before the matchup between Montreal Magic and Blue Dry, but I'm saying right now, Montreal Magic coming into the game. They've lost one, two, three, four, five, 6 games in a row. Their last win, we said this last week, their last win is January 31st
Yeah,
against
it's
0-9 Overguard.
yeah,
Just saying,
it's
I wouldn't be shocked if Blue Jay could do it again. Like, if Fred Junot had 5 TDs in that first game and no INTs, that's why they won. If Fred Junot turns over the ball, chances are they're probably going to lose. If he could not turn over the ball again, you never know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but also it depends what the roster that Montreal Blue Jays are gonna bring, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like you're
yeah,
not used to
true.
seeing like Anthony Lazare on the team, like they have Denzel rushing, like it's not their same thing. Isaiah wasn't
True.
present for that game.
That's
You
true.
had
That's true. That's true.
what's his name? Panini. Uh,
Yeah, Nick Gropini.
Nick, yeah, exactly. He also wasn't there. He's also a sneaky player where he
True.
plays both ways. Like when you're missing a good amount of your roster and you're kind of going into a game where again Dan didn't play. He didn't play bad. He went 21 for 29, 225 yards, 4 TDs. They just couldn't get a stop on defense. Extra points. They got both their extra points. Like this game definitely probably came down to the last. I want to say last couple plays. But I don't see Montreal Magic doing the same mistake where they don't get a stop, and I think they should be. Hopefully, there'll be a full roster, and I think Isaiah is probably one of the key pieces that are going to make a big factor in his rushing and be able to take away middle of the lane. And why Isaiah is able to take away middle lane, you're able to switch up your defenses. That does cause more picks because of him rushing.
That is true. That is true. Although Fred Junot, not exactly the shortest guy either. He's long, kind of like Isaiah Lard is, and
Mhm.
he is really agile. But I see what you're saying. Obviously, having Gropini and Lard there is huge, and that could definitely swing the game in favor of Montreal matchup. But again, they have to go onto the field. Those guys need to show up, and they have to actually go onto the field and play. So
Yeah, no,
we'll
for
see what
sure.
happens. Okay, so let's switch quickly to 5v5 co-ed. Uh, so the only game that took place so far this week, in week 12, Team Rocket. So they got a big W, Guillaume Belal's team. We had him earlier in the first episode,
Oh,
knocking
they
off
won their
yeah,
Oh, they won their
they
first
knocked
game
off
of the season. I didn't realize.
18 W's, yeah, 31-28. So they got a big win for them, right? First W. Tonight we have Spicy Braves and Fly Mod de Qua at Steady Bear at 9 p.m. Actually going on right now. And then Gundam taking on Maple Syrup tomorrow in Brassard to wrap up week
Mhm.
12.
Okay. Shout out to Team Rocket getting their first win of the season. It's
Yeah.
it's good to. It basically just shows, like I think Guillaume was kind of also saying like how happy he was that FPF kind of brought 5v5. I think people are going to start realizing how fun 5v5 is compared to 6v6. Plus, if you're also teams that are kind of want to travel, even small tournaments, 5v5 is what is played, not 6v6. So I feel like we're going to have a big explode on the amount of teams that are going to be playing co-ed 5v5 compared to playing competitive co-ed 5v5 compared to right now the teams that we have competitive 6v6 for goal.
100%, 100%.
Um,
It's
got
just
it.
to say quick in that game, 18 TW. So Sarah Parker wasn't there. Sarah Parker's out of town with Team Canada and that. So Emerson Peterkin actually played quarterback. He had 4 touchdown passes in that loss against 31-28 to Team Rocket.
Yeah, so I mean that's also not a downgrade either. Sarah Parker is amazing, and Emerson's also a super good quarterback. So I mean, it's not like
Yep.
the Rockets. That's a big win for Rockets. Even if
100%.
Sarah is throwing, then Emerson is throwing. I mean, it's not a huge
Yep.
difference. Just kind of look at the playoff system standings. Everyone kind of makes playoffs, so it's not like the hugest thing. Team Rocket could technically jump Nice to Meet You, depending if they beat them and they get a tiebreak on them. Not 100% sure, but again, everyone makes playoffs. No buys. It's going to 1 seed versus 8 seed, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, and pretty much reseeding when it comes to that. So again, we have 3 weeks left of co-ed 5v5 going into this week, week 13. Looking at the screen, you have um, we have Nice to Meet You versus Spicy Braise, Flag de Morquois versus ATN Dummies, and Airbuds versus Maple Syrup. And
Yep.
then week 4, it's kind of funny. Week 4 and week 5, there's only one game, and there's one game. So the season is pretty much ending in week 13, and then it's going to be like depending on
Yeah.
the
We have week
situation.
14, one game. You're right.
Yeah.
And that's how the
So
schedule is. Like I said, yeah, week 14, one game, week 15, one game. It is what it is. All the games will be played. And so make sure you guys come out and check it out and watch the podcast, obviously, to get your highlights and get your info. Okay,
mhm.
so we're done for 5v5 co-ed. Uh, top over to co-ed 3.
I'm gonna do
Yeah,
code
you
3
got a
on
game
co-ed.
coming up, so you got to
Yeah,
take off soon.
I'll just do
Co-ed
code
3,
3 because
looking at the schedule.
I did
Sorry?
watch a few games. I did watch one game for code 3.
All right, go for it. Go for it, man.
Yeah. So the game that I got to see. So I just want to looking at the looking. So the game that I watched. So there's a lot of games. What was it? So Saturday. So I got to kind of see a little bit of Dream Killers versus Shadow Squad. I was on
Okay.
field 2, but I was still kind of looking around there. I actually thought Dream Killers. I thought Dream Killers did way better than losing 28-43. So that's kind of funny to kind of see. I thought it was way closer than that. But I actually got to do Shakir 2.0 versus Shaquille Oatmeal. That's the game that I actually score
That's
capped.
GMO, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, on my field, and yeah, Shaquille Oatmeal is pretty much. So from what I've seen, it's basically a group of McGill football players with McGill with sorry tackle McGill football players, so guys, and then women's some of the women's flag football players. So you kind of see
Yeah.
a big difference when some of these guys are making some of these catches, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I kind of was looking at the roster, and then I was kind of doing some backtrack, and I was kind of seeing who's who, and I was like, okay, all these guys are most of them are active playing in this in U Sports right now. So they played Shakira's 2.0, and to be honest, it was just kind of like it was just a mismatch. Like the 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 talent wise was a bit different. It's to a point where I don't see Shaquille Oatmeal playing co-ed 3. I don't think they should be even co-ed 3 right now. I think they're way too strong. I know they had some games that are a bit difficult coming into the season, but I think those are just kind of like I think they lost their first game of the season. They lost week 1 to Pick Artist 39-38, and then they dropped another game versus who else did they lose against? They lost versus Pick Artist by 1, and then they lost versus End Zone Cartel 37-31. Where again, I think if they play probably Enzo Cartel is also a pretty there's a decent team for Quad 3, but again, I don't see this team if they do make this team again, they definitely should not be in co-ed 3. This is definitely going to be a co-ed 2 team that's going to be able to compete. But yeah, so the game that I watch is they were just way better. They were way better athletes on one team compared to other team. And when you're better athletes, you're able to do more plays, throw the ball deeper, deeper completions, and just like one guy could kind of just break a bunch of tackles. There was a big disadvantage in the game.
Yeah, you look at the final score, right? Shaquille O'Neal beating Shakira 2.0, 46-12, right? So obviously kind of a disadvantage for one team and an advantage for the other. Looking at the schedule, so one more game left is tonight. One and Niners taking on the Fatties. That's going to be a Steady Bear taking place at 10 p.m. And then week 13, the action starts Saturday. There are 5 games. Week 13, pick artists Hail Mary Poppins, Padawan Steezers, Catch My Ball, Sax Appeal. That writes that joke writes itself right there. Dream Killers, What a Niners, and Shakira 2.0 against Show Me Your TDs to wrap up week 13 for Co-Ed 3.
Yeah. So again, and then playoff system, Niners, Show Me Your TDs are probably the only two teams left to try to make a playoff push. Show Me Your TDs have 2 games left. Niners have also 3 games left. So Delicious and Delicious, Fatties, Flamingos, you guys are still on the clock. Right now, you guys are comfortably in the 12, 13, and 14 seed. But Niners and Show Me Your TDs are definitely teams that are going to try to jump you and try to knock you out of a playoff spot there. So still a lot of good football to be played. Still a lot of still a lot of football that matters to be played. So it's gonna be interesting to see when it comes down to it who's the final 14 teams that get to qualify into the playoffs and make a playoff push.
All right. Co-Ed 2, looking at
Yeah,
it
I'm
here,
gonna
1 game left. Oh, yeah,
yeah
you got to
I'm
take
gonna head
off.
out. Yeah. All right.
All right, no
Bye,
worries,
man.
no worries. All right. All right, so thanks for Quaysie for coming on. I know he has a game tonight. That's why he has to take off. So I'll be with you guys the rest of the way. Okay, so 1 game left tomorrow. In Kuwait too. It's gonna be the Mavericks taking on Kamikaze. That's gonna be in Brassard tomorrow night at 11 p.m. So late one on a Thursday. I know last week we had on Brianna Terraconi and her boyfriend Upsy Sanders Armand from Back That Pass Up. Well, they backed that talk up. They knocked off We Thought We Were Snacks 35-34. Looking here, Alex Lipsky 3 TD passes in that game for the losing side. Jason Rossi, so a veteran in FPF, 5 TD passes in that contest. So Sanders caught 2 of those TD passes. Brianna had about 2 catches for 29 yards, so solid showing by the couple there. Obviously, the first couple we had on this FPF podcast. Like we said last week, if other couples, if you're single as well, if you want to come on, or you're dating somebody that's not in FPF, you want to get them in FPF, come on to the podcast, right? Many guests as possible. It's always a fun thing when you guys come out because, again, this is why we do it. So, again, 35-34 win for Back That Pass Up over We Thought We Were Snacks. Like I said, Mavericks Kamikaze, the only game remaining here in week 12. That's tomorrow. Looking at week 13, though, there are a ton of games. Action starts Sunday. We thought we were snacks are back in action against the injury reserves, pardon me. And it finishes next Wednesday. So 7 days from now, McNuggies against Mixolage. That's going to be next Wednesday at Statty Bear. So looking at week 13 in total, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in total, right? So week 13 is going to be a huge week here in co-ed 2. So looking at the standings right now to make everything, we'll give it the latest on the standings, I should say, pardon me. Right now, so Venom 8-1, so in the regular season, so they have pretty much a stranglehold on first, right? So I mean, they have 16 points. There's a couple teams tied with 12, right? Block Party, Les Woos, Back That Pass Up, who we talked about, and we thought we were snacks. And again, that was a big win for Back That Pass Up because now they're tied points wise with we thought we were snacks, right? So both those teams have 12 points as well. Again, though, Venom with 1 game remaining, they have 16. So pretty much if they could win their final game in the regular season, speaking of Venom, they'll lock up first place here in Co-Ed 2. Venom, their next game is going to be against the veteran squad in Easy Fun. That's going to be next Tuesday, so March 31st in Broussard. So 7 p.m. Start for that one between Venom and Easy Fun. So again, if Venom gets the W, they're going to hang on and lock up first place in the division. Looking at the bottom of the standings, right? Party Mix 1-7 right now. Les Grand Chums 1-8. I mean, hopping into the playoffs, it's pretty much going to be impossible. It's definitely impossible for the Grand Chum, right? Right now, they can't get enough points to get up there with Easy Fun, who have six, or All Day Every Day, who also have six, right? So I talked about little McNuggies, right? Like I talked about McNuggies right now, they're 1 point behind the final playoff spot, which Easy Fun sits at, right? So McNuggies have 5 points, Easy Fun has six, right? And like I said, though, for McNuggies, they're taking on Mixolage, like I said, next Wednesday. But then they finish the Saturday after the regular season. Their finale is against Michael Scott's Tots. So McNuggies, they have two opportunities to get into the dance, right? Right now, they're on the outside looking in, but again, two huge opportunities for McNuggies to kind of seal their playoff fate. So we'll have to see what happens for them. Michael Scott's Tots, right? They're right now sitting in eighth, right? They have 10 points. So I mean, right now they're in the driver's seat for the playoffs. They can knock off McNuggies for sure. They could even vault the standings, right? So again, this is a big matchup that's going to take place next Saturday, April 4th, pardon me, at in Broussard. So let's hop over now, pardon me, to the final co-ed division. So co-ed one, right? So we're looking at what's going on here in co-ed one. Looking at the schedule, right? So a lot of big games coming up this week in co-ed one. Again, we're kind of in that final stretch of the regular season here, right? So every game matters. It was kind of a quiet week last week, right? We only had two games. We talked about it a bit last week on the pod, right? The Merge 2.0 knocking off Plenty of Fish 37-22. And then we had the IG team with a 27-12 victory over Fit Squad. So my apologies. I know last week on the pod, I had talked about the Merge 2.0. I had said they had won two championships in a row. I was wrong. It's actually three championships in a row last season, right? So they did winter, spring, and the fall season as well, right? So shout out to Marc-Andre Reeves, quarterback, obviously, and one of the captains, obviously, on the Merge 2.0. He came up to me on Monday, totally class guy. He's like, hey, just want to let you know, man, like we've won actually three championships in a row, not two. So my apologies again. I apologize to him in person. I'll do it again here on the pod. My apologies to him and all the players on the merge. Three championships in a row. Can they make it four? We're gonna find out, right? Let's see. The merge. I believe they're off this week. Yeah, so they're off this week. They're back in action next Saturday, April 4th, right? Taking on Siligi. So that's gonna be a big game for them. Looking, and that's week 14. Sticking with week 13, though, right? We have four games coming up week 13. Starts off the action on Sunday. Plenty of Fish, the IG team, right? So those teams going head to head. We have La Guerre de Touk, my apologies, taking on the IG team. So back-to-back games for the IG team. First on Sunday, then on Monday night. Both games will be at Stady Bear. Fit Squad, again, coming off a shellacking at the hands, 27-12 against the IG team. They're taking on the Silly Geese 7 days from now at Stady Bear. So that'll be Wednesday, April 1st. And then Thursday, April 2nd, be the final game of week 13. It's going to see La Guerre de Touk taking on Plenty of Fish. So a lot of veteran squads going head to head right now. Obviously, the playoffs are people trying to solidify that seeding, right? And this is what it's all about right now. Early games of the regular season matter, but we all know, right? Those games at the end of the regular season, that's what counts the most, right? You want to be not just winning, you also want to be going into the playoffs playing your best ball, right? As we know, 6 teams out of the 7 make the playoffs. Right now, we look at the standings, Plenty of Fish, right? They have 2 points. They have 2 games left. They only have 2 points. They're on the outside looking in. They're 2 points behind La Guerre de Touk and then 2 points behind the IG team, right? So if you're Plenty of Fish, like I said, they're going to have to get their act together. They're 2 points out. They have two opportunities to close that gap, right? But we're going to have to see. Again, big matchup coming up for them against La Guerre de Touk next Thursday. And then they finish the regular season on Sunday, March 29th against the IG team. So actually, no. So that's going to be in reverse order. Sorry, the schedule was wrong. So it's obviously going to be March 29th comes before April 2nd. So March 29th against the IG team. And then Thursday, April 2nd against Laguerre took. So two opportunities for plenty of fish. Will they get it done? We're gonna have to wait and see, right? Uh, so yeah, went over all the matchups here for co-ed too. Let's finish off now with the ladies. Let's finish off with women's. So we're gonna hop over now to women's three. So looking at women's three right now, right? We're looking at the standings here. Again, Lehibu, they've been the top team in this division, 7-1 record, 15 points. They have one game remaining. They're pretty much going to be, if they can get a W, they're going to lock up first place. I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't. She Sparks though, right behind them. She Sparks 6-2 record, right? 12 points right now. You have A-Town 5-2 record with 10 points. So those teams still trying to shoot their shot and finish off at the top of the standing. So if you're A-Town though, actually, A-Town still has a chance. If A-Town can win out and get a little help in the form of the Hebrew losing their final game of the year, A-Town can finish in first. And looking at She Sparks, right? She Sparks, they can finish in first as well. But like I said, if Hebrew, their last regular season game, looking at the schedule here, they're taking on A-Town. So that's a big matchup, right? They're taking on A-Town, but that's all the way on April 13th. So we're gonna have to wait a little while here, right? A-Town, Lehebu is going to be in Saint Laurent. Actually, I'll be the scorekeeper for that game, so that'll be a great game to watch, right? So Lehebu and A-Town again Monday, April 13th at Saint Laurent, right? So we'll have to see if by the time that matchup rolls around, will Hebu still be in first? You have to wait and see, right? Because again, they have 9 games remaining. She Sparks has the game in hand on them, right? She Sparks have played 8 games. She Sparks looking at their schedule, right? They have a game against A-Town. Well, actually, the schedule doesn't always come together, but when it does, it really does. So She Sparks A-Town taking place. So in 8 days from now, next Thursday at Stady Bear, a huge game. Second place and potentially later in the season, first place will be on that line, be on the line, pardon me, in that game between A-Town and She Sparks. A-Town, like I said, though, they have 2 games in hand on the Hebrew and one on She Sparks. So looking at A-Town now, right? They played 7 games this year. They had that big matchup, like I said, against She Sparks next Thursday. After that, though, Saturday, April 2nd, they have Les Spartiats at Stady Bear, and then they finish off, like I said, with Hebrew on the 13th. So listen, if you're She Sparks and you win out, you can potentially get first. If you're A-Town, you win out, you can get first. And obviously, if you're Hebrew, you win out, you'll stay in first, right? So some big games coming up here. Make sure if you have a chance, please go out and check those games out in person or listen to the pod and we'll give you the updates and the results and the summary, if you will, for those games. So make sure you get out there and check it out because there are some big, big games here in this division. Um, looking at the rest of the standings, right? Les Spartiats 3-3-1, right? They have 7 points, so they still have a chance. Again, they have 3 games remaining, right? They have a chance to jump the standings too. They could definitely catch A-Town for third, so you never know, right? Dynamics, right, with 2 points, they're 1-6 record. Lioness 0-8 right now. Like we said, this is a learning season for them. We'll see. Looking at the schedule coming up this week, right? For week 13, right? So Lioness taking on the Spartiats. That's going to take place. That's actually taking place tonight. My apologies. So that's taking place tonight in Broussard. Actually, by now the game should be over. It's 9:30 on my clock right now. That game started at 8. So the scores haven't been uploaded right now to the site. So since we get an update, we'll talk about that game for you next week. Obviously, again, Lioness against Spartiats. Lioness still trying to get their first W of the season. Tomorrow night, though, like I said, big matchup. Stady Bear, She Sparks A-Town, the battle for second, at least right now. We'll have to see how that one goes. So we're going to switch divisions here. Pardon me. So we're going to go to women's two. So I had a chance to keep a game in women's two this past Monday at sorry, I didn't keep the game. I was on the field next to it this past Monday in Saint Laurent. So one of the very few teams I haven't had a chance to watch this season, and again, there are a ton of teams here in FPF, so I score keep about twice a week, sometimes a little extra. Can't watch every team, but I try to watch as many as possible, right? And I had a chance finally in person to see the Nomads. So Nomads took on Wolfpack, a veteran squad, this past Monday in Saint Laurent. Nomads with a 25-19 win over the Wolfpack. So I came away impressed. from that game. It came away because so Ben McMahon, who's been on the show a bunch of times, obviously the commissioner in FPF, he's also a scorekeeper, right? So I kept on talking to him, hey, so I would see some plays myself, but I'm scorekeeping in other games. I'm trying to watch that game as well, right? So I would come over a little bit, hey, so what happened here? What happened there? He gave me a little update, say, okay, yeah, this player looked good and this happened and whatever, when I wasn't able to watch the play live, right? So again, Wolfpack, a veteran team. Um, I came away impressed with what I saw of these ladies, and I've seen them play multiple times over the years. Shout out to, so I believe it was Elodie Simoneau. She was wearing number 114. She went up to make an INT late in the second half. And as we know, right, sometimes you jump up to catch a pass, or even if you're not jumping, you're standing still to catch a pass, right? You put your hands up here, you make the double C's, you're catching the ball. And in your mind, right, sometimes you think, okay, I got this. Let me start thinking about where I'm running. You got to watch the ball and make sure it comes in. The ball went right through her hands and hit her right in the face. And she went down like she got shot. Don't blame her. I'm not sure if she busted her nose or lost a tooth or busted her lip or something, but I think it looks like she was bleeding from where I was standing. Even the referee said, well, I think she's all cut up in that. She kind of took herself out the game. I didn't see her come back in. I didn't see the final play or so, but I didn't see her come back in because she was on the sideline just like on one knee, holding her face basically. And I think we've all had that happen before when the ball either gets thrown too fast, too hard, or we're just not expecting it, whatever, even during a warm up and the ball hits you in the face. That is one of the most painful things ever. And she knew the ball was coming. I guess she just misjudged where it was and her hands were too far apart. And the ball, she jumped up and you could hear it hit her in the face. And it wasn't in the forehead, right? The forehead's not the end of the world. It was square like right in the mush, like either in the nose or the mouth. So hopefully she made it. Well, I'm sure she made it home okay there. It's not life or death, but hopefully the damage wasn't too bad when she went home, or definitely the next morning, right? Because that's usually when the bumps and bruises really shows the next morning. So she made a lot of plays though. She kept her team in that game. She had two INTs, two pass knockdowns. She had a touchdown right as a receiver. So I came away impressed with her. I've had a chance to see her a couple of times. Switching sides though, looking at the other side, right? For Nomads, like I said, it's the first time I've seen them play. Um, I had a chance to watch. Leanne Rancourt is actually going to be a future guest on the show. Shout out to her for agreeing to come on to the show. I went up to this team after the game. I'm friends with Henry Dam. And I said, hey, man, any of your ladies want to come on the pod? And right away, he and all of her teammates pointed to Leanne Rancourt. So shout out to them and shout out to her for agreeing. She got put on the spot. That is like the definition of getting put on the spot. So she agreed. So she's going to come on either next week or maybe the week after. We're gonna have to settle that with her and figure it out. But yeah, I just came away impressed with these ladies, man. Like they're a really good team. So Wolfpack, one of the things I like about them is they have height and they got some speed, right? They got a lot of length and they use it well. Not necessarily the case with the Nomads, right? They're a bit of a shorter squad. I mean, I'm not the tallest person myself, so I could appreciate that. But players like Mary Lou Cote Noel, she was playing for the team. Alicia Benoit, like they were making plays over the field, both sides of the ball. I just came away impressed. Like Nomads, they play kind of a physical brand of football. They were jumping routes. They were just they came away. I came away impressed. So Mary Lou Cote Noel, who I just said again, she had two INTs in that matchup. They got a sack from Alicia Benoit. Sandrine Aubrey got a sack as well, right? The quarterback, Lilu Plant, she threw a couple nice balls. I came away impressed. Like again, this is a team I hadn't really seen that much this season. We talked about them, right? But again, there's just so many teams we can't watch everybody. So again, that win for the Nomads moved them to 8-0. They're tied up there at the top of the division with Chaos. Again, I know that earlier regular season game between those two powerhouses got canceled because of an injury on the field. That's supposed to be redone, and that's actually taking place, oh, as fate would have it, right now in Broussard. So that took place at 7. So I don't know who won that game yet. We're definitely going to dive into that game next week. Chaos, Nomads, a battle of 8-0 versus 8-0. Who's going to be undefeated after that game is said and done? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. We'll talk about it. We'll chop it up for sure. I promise you next week. Really looking forward to that. Um, yeah, just looking at the rest here, right? Again, old school 7-1, right? We talked about them a little bit last week. They are in action. Speaking of old school, they're in action this Saturday, right? Against the Wolfpack. So a good bounce back opportunity for Wolfpack. And you know what? A bounce back opportunity as well for old school, right? Old school they got their butts kicked. They got their butts kicked 37-13 by the Dream Killers this past Saturday, right? So shout out to the Dream Killers, the veteran squad again, led. Of course, we talked about her plenty of times here. Noemi Fortin, her Bees 5 TD passes in that victory. Her number one target was Leon Lafreniere, right? 10 catches on 11 targets for 100 yards. So shout out to her going over the century mark. She got 3 TDs in that game. Eleanor Lacasse, I've seen her play a lot. 5 catches on 6 targets, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So 2 receivers combining for nearly 200 yards and 5 touchdowns. Shout out to them. Esther Moraes Struthers had 3 catches, 35 yards. So good outing by her. Lacasse got a pick six on defense. So obviously both sides of the ball really contributing to that win. Jessica Banville, pardon me, 4 INTs in the matchup. So she definitely struggled spreading around the ball in that game. And again, shout out to that Gene Killers defense. Again, this is a serious team. I know we talk a lot about chaos and nomads, especially because they're undefeated, right? But you can't sleep on the Dream Killers. A veteran squad. They've been around for a while. They know what to do. And they have their eyes set right on that top spot, right? They're in shouting distance, right? They are only 4 points behind Chaos and Nomads, right? And we talked about old school, right? Old school sitting right there. 8 games played so far. They're 2 points behind both teams. So I mean, if old school can win out and get a little help, they can end up in first, right? Cavaliers, BDEB, right? They're right there too. We can't sleep on them. They're in fourth place, right? With a 6-2 record. Looking at their squad, actually, who they have coming up. They have a game against the Wolfpack this coming Saturday. That's Stady Bear, right? And then they finish with Chaos on Monday, April 6th. That's going to be at Stady Bear as well, right? So listen, Cavaliers, BDEB, they have a chance, right, to really shake up the top of the standings and make a push for that top spot as well. You got Supernova, you can't sleep on them. But you have the Wolfpack, who I talked about, right? Wolfpack 4-3 record right now. They're gonna have to right the ship a little bit, but they're a competitive team, and they honestly came within a player or two of knocking off the Nomads, right? Just a couple mistakes here and there for those ladies on Wolfpack, so they're close, right? They're still they didn't go down without a fight, so props to them. Let's see if now they can rebound right in the next upcoming games. Valhalla 4-4, the Vanier Cheetahs 4-5, right? So a bunch of teams at or hovering around that 500 mark. Same thing, right? La Sorority, pardon me, 3-5. The Cavaliers, I guess original Cavalier squad 3-6, and then you have obviously the Rock 2-6 with the Bolts 2-6, Turf Titans 2-7, Blue Legacy 1-7, and then Powerpuff 0-9. I'm not sure what happened to my screen right there. My apologies. Okay, so right now looking at Powerpuff, right? Can they get their first W, right? They're 0-9 right now. Their next game, so they got a couple weeks off, right? April 14th, that's a Tuesday. Week 15 for them, they finish off against the Bolts. So that's a good opportunity for Powerpuff, right? Two teams in the Bolts and Powerpuff who combined for 2 wins, two of them, of course, being with the Bolts. Again, they're a team 5 games, pardon me, under 500. Powerpuff has a chance to finally get that W and get off the schneid and end the season on a high note. Will they do it? We'll have to wait a couple weeks to find out. All right. So last but not least, now we're going to the ladies 4, women's 1. So the women's 1 division, right? Looking at it right now, at least schedule wise, right? We had one game took place this past Saturday. So a thriller. Matrix knocking off Cayenne 39-38. That took place in Brassard last Saturday. So that's a 7 p.m. game for that one. So shout out to the Matrix for getting that W. So that tied everything up. The only game that was played in week 12, right? Week 13, we have 3 games on tap. So Blue Pow taking on Sherbrooke Verrier. That's going to be Saturday at noon in Brassard. And then also Saturday at noon, so 1 hour later, Sherbrooke Verrier, they're going to stay on the field. They're taking on Sub-Zero, right? So a tough matchup right there for Sherbrooke Verrier, right? They have Blue Powered first and then Little Warm Up, and then they got Sub-Zero right after. So those ladies for Sherbrooke are going to be in for it. Have to see it. Listen, that's a team. They're having a lot of fun. They're exciting to watch. I've seen them play a couple of games. I've score kept a couple of games. At least I've been in the same facility as them when they're playing. They're always having fun. They're cheering each other on when they make big plays. Again, a learning season for this first year FPF squad. They're just going to get better and better, and they have been playing better football to their credit lately. Right, like we talked about it a little bit last week. Right, I mean, this is a team that they almost knocked off Blue Power, right? And they knocked off Cayenne back on February 28th, right? So you look at the last three games, okay, did they get blown up by the Matrix 2 Saturdays ago on the 14th? Yeah, they did. They lost by 20 to a veteran Matrix squad. But you can't ignore what happened against, you can't ignore them knocking off Cayenne. We talked about it last week. And you also can't ignore the fact that they almost knocked off Blue Power. So now they had the rematch against Blue Power. Would I be shocked to see Sherbrooke get their second W of the season? Nah, to be honest, I wouldn't. And you know what? I think I might pick them. I think I might. Yeah, you know what? I will. I'm gonna pick Sherbrooke. I'm gonna pick the ladies from the Verrier to knock off Blue Pound this Saturday in Brassard. So it's gonna be Saturday, March 28th. Looking at the rest of the schedule, right? So Blue Pound, they're back in action after that game against Sherbrooke on Saturday. They're back in action a week from now, next Wednesday, as they take on the Matrix, right? Again, Matrix coming off a big win over Cayenne. Let's dive into that quickly before we take off here again. And want to give a shout out to the ladies on both teams. Uh, so Elizabeth Ashgar, part of me, right? Listen, 288 yards, six touchdown passes. She had two INTs, but she led her team to the W, right? Props to her. Justine Cote. So I'm going to give you the stat line: 11 catches, 145 yards, and a trip to the end zone. Pretty much almost every receiver caught a touchdown. LD Fournier, two TDs. Lara Zuko, two TDs. Abigail Perot, these raw ballers. We've heard these names a million times. She had a touchdown. Nomi Omang usually plays more offense. Usually plays more defense. She had two targets, didn't get a catch, but her specialty is locking down things on defense. She tied for the team lead on the squad with six tackles in that W. Abigail Perot, part of me, get an INT in that win. Lara Zuko getting two pass deflection. So good job by those ladies right there. Switching sides, looking at Cayenne, right? Sandrine Gobet, who some people think is the best quarterback in FPF, or at least on the ladies' side, right? 308 yards, six TD passes in that win. Maria Manseri, listen, shout out to her. She's a baller. I've seen her play a ton of times. She is a baller. Nine catches, 118 yards. Not one, not two, not three, but four TDs in that loss, unfortunately for her squad. But again, four TDs is four TDs, right? She was helped out by Julianne Fortin, who had 91 yards, a touchdown, and Tamara Boulanger, who had two catches. One of them ended up being a tutty. Boulanger added an INT on defense, as did Charlie Toivonen. So I haven't called her name in a while, actually. I remember calling her name, I believe it was I want to say last spring, maybe even the fall as well. So it's nice to see her in the league still. Had a big INT in that W, but again, right, Cayenne losing 39-38 to the Matrix. Looking at conversions, because that's usually where the game is decided, right? One convert for Cayenne, right? A 2 point convert by Mathilde Renault, speaking of ballers. The other side, three 1 point converts by the winning side in the Matrix. So that's pretty much where that game is decided, right? As we all know, part of me, converts play a big role in any game. Okay, so that wraps it up for co-ed, for 5v5, and for women's one, women's two, women's three. Just a reminder, so I know it was announced earlier today, I believe, the FPF, the spring season. I always call it the summer season because it ends up being played majority of it in the summer, and that's when the playoffs start. That's taking place, I believe, it's April 4th, I want to say. Omar, am I right on that? It's April 4th. Registration opens online. Yeah, the third or the fourth. Omar, we'll check that for us. So it's the third? Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, April 3rd. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Omar. Omar's right. So April 3rd, so looking at my phone right now, that's going to be a Friday. So Friday, April 3rd, registration opens for the spring season, right? So make sure you get up online, FlagPlusFootball.com obviously is where you go to register your team, or you can register yourself as an individual. Make sure you go on there and get your spot in early, because spots will be going fast, right? So make sure you get on there. Of course, some of the games will be indoors. A lot of the games will be outdoors. So that's always a great thing to see. And who doesn't love the spring season, right? The weather's great. Playing outside in the sun, I mean, not when it's like 30 degrees, but playing outside, when it's nice outside about like 20, 21, 22, you can't go wrong with that. It's pretty awesome. especially as the summer goes on, right? You play at night, it's nice outside. Just get out the house, right? Do something, just have some fun, put some flag football, hit up FPF. Why not, right? It's a win-win situation. Uh, Again, episode one, we have Guillaume Bellon from the Braves, from Laverge Fall, Team Rocket, and obviously we have Team Canada, right? He was on the episode. He came on and chatted with us for about a half an hour or so. So if you want to see the interview with Guillaume Bellon, make sure you watch the first episode. A really huge advocate for flag football, right? He's one of those former tackle guys. Played tackle for a zillion years. He coaches as well now, but made the transition to flag, and he loves it, right? He's again on Team Canada trying to go for gold in the Olympics in the 2028 games, like many of you ladies that are on various teams here in FPF, right? So make sure you guys check out that interview. He had a lot of great things to say about Team Canada, about football in this province here of Quebec, and just the growth of flag in general. So go on there and watch that interview. Quaysie had to dip a little early. Obviously, he has a game, so good luck to him in his game tonight. And of course, thank you to you guys for watching, right? Again, this is why we're here. You guys are the ones that watch it, so we love doing what we do to keep you guys entertained and informed of what's going on in FPF. And shout out to the main man Omar, who is our producer here tonight. He was sitting there. We've been on for about 3.5 hours doing 2 episodes. So shout out to Omar as well for all his patience and his expertise and get everything aligned and linked up properly. So thank you, Omar, for doing what you do. Birthday shout out to Ali Reza. I believe his birthday, he told me, is this coming weekend. So that lazy bum took off the whole week. I don't want to work the whole week at all. I think your birthday's on the weekend, dude. Like, get over yourself, but not. Seriously, though, good shout out to Ali Reza, who's usually our producer. His birthday is coming up this weekend, so early birthday shout out to him. Happy birthday in advance, sir. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm Brent. I'm out. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Be good. Put the place up. Yeah,